with some assembly required. It confirmed the door of no return.
Welcome back to the Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour. I'm Mike Witzak.
I am Rory Farrell.
And today's special guest is
Matt Mitman.
Hey, Matt. And what team are you with?
We're at Remax Ready
And you guys are in Conshohocken, right?
in Conshohocken.
That's awesome.
And not only are you with them, but you run the team.
Yeah. We Eric Railing and I started the Remax Ready office about 11, 12 years ago.
Nice. Congratulations. That's great.
Well, we will get into that, but as our as our regular viewers and listeners know, we start the podcast with a beer. And I always ask my guests, do they have a preference? And you came in with Miller Lite. And it was really, really hard for me to buy a Miller Lite especially for this podcast. But
It's a fine Pilsner.
That's what they say. That's their marketing. But the guest requests it, the guest gets it.
I mean, what's better than a Friday at noon with Miller Lite?
It's certainly the least expensive beer we've ever had on this podcast. It was an easy. It was a financial hurdle that I was able to handle.
Right up my alley.
There you go.
Thank
especially today. Mikey was out late last night.
I was out very late last night. I didn't intend to be out late last
For
night.
the Eagles game.
Yeah. A friend texted me like, "Oh, we'll go just get a beer at Xfinity," and I knew as soon as he texted me that, I was like, "We're not just gonna."
Nobody gets a beer at Xfinity.
No. It was crazy. We went to Xfinity, and then about the first quarter, I ended up in the game somehow. So then we were in the game, and then I was there to watch the interception at the fourth quarter and everything. So very electric. Anyway,
And you were at field level.
yeah.
You get in legally?
Yes, actually, I
Allegedly.
Just real quick, I was riding the bull at Xfinity, and I get off the bull, and my friend's like, "I got tickets," and I was like, "Okay," and then we just ended up in the game at the 150 level seat. I think we were in section 120 or something, and we're right behind the end zone. It was crazy. Yeah, it was nuts. And then I got home at 2 a.m. So yeah.
And now we're here.
Now we're here.
Less than 12 hours later.
Now we're here.
Hey, you skipped over how well you did on the bull.
Yeah. I think I did a minute on the bull, and then the guy got irritated. He's just like, "You want me right off?" Yeah.
They pretty much have full control over that.
Yeah, my thighs really hurt today.
It was like you worked out.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about me. So yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Thank you for coming in.
Cheers.
We were just saying this podcast doesn't work as well without guests, so we appreciate you coming in. And like you said, you and Eric are the broker owners of this team, and I'm sure you're busy. Let's get back into the original, how you got into real estate, and then I'm sure we'll get into obviously how you started the team 12 years ago.
Yeah. The original, one of the weird ones who got into it right after college, essentially. So.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Nice. Hey, same
Yeah.
boat. That's awesome.
Well, I got a little caveat to that. After college, I had to find myself for a year. So with a buddy of mine, we traveled the country for 56 days and ended up in Santa Barbara, California.
Dude.
And then after that, I called up Eric, who was finishing up his 5th year. It took him 5 years at Florida State.
Oh, you really threw him under the bus right off the bat.
And
he's the Burt Kreischer of real estate.
And we jumped in, essentially a couple things, but then we jumped into real estate at, I guess, 23, 24 years old.
And you guys knew each other from high school?
From elementary school.
Elementary,
So,
that's wild. So let's talk about it real quick. I think I know where you grew up. Elementary school, where'd you go?
Bluebell Elementary.
Me too. Middle school?
Wissahickon Middle School.
Me too.
Wow.
High school?
Wissahickon High School.
All right, shout out H. Foley. And I went the Catholic route. I went to Lansdale Catholic, but yeah, we have a very similar trajectory there.
Yeah. H. Foley, we're going to see him December 13th
Me too.
at Parks.
Me too.
Right? Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Did Foley go to?
He went to Wissahickon.
Really? I didn't know
Yep.
that. That's funny.
I'll buy
And
you Miller Lite there.
he was your year, right?
Yeah.
So.
Good buddy. We wrestled together. We hung out together.
That's
yeah.
so funny.
That's
Do you listen to his podcast now?
Oh yeah.
It's got to be so weird to hear him talk about because their whole podcast is talking about growing up in our area.
It's awesome to see, and it's so cool his story, because on and off as we stay in touch over the years and lose touch and all that. But he was grinding it out for 20, 25 years. And then now all of a sudden he's got hundreds of thousands of views when you see it and all that stuff.
awesome.
But there's a lot of times when he was performing in front of not many people.
Yeah. Very cool.
Well, shout out Foley.
Yeah, and Are You Garbage podcast, if you have not listened to that, it's a great podcast. It's almost as good as ours.
Great. Now I'm gonna have to cut this out and clip it and put it on Instagram and tag
Tag
Foley.
them.
Yeah.
And Kippy. So it's funny because I think when I was buying those tickets maybe for that show, I somehow ended up on Foley's Facebook page, and I saw mutual friends, and I was like, wait a second, hold on a second. So
Yeah. He's a super guy. And Eric and I went up to see them in New York last spring. And it was really awesome getting to hang out with them after the show and just hearing the whole story and of where they've gotten to and the potential of the future.
It's wild.
That's awesome. Yeah, that we saw them last year.
Yeah, where is it?
Last
Not
year,
the
Helium?
Met or
No, Helium.
was it at Helium?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've seen him a couple times since then, but
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are regulars.
we've seen him at
he's
Helium
more
when they were
regular
much
than I am.
smaller, and then we saw him at I want to say the Met or I can't remember, but somewhere like a bigger theater, like more
Yeah.
recently, and now we're gonna see him at Parks. So
Yeah,
it's
we
cool.
were in New York City at it was a 1,500 person place. I'm blanking
wow.
on the name of it.
Yeah.
But it was really cool.
That's
That's
awesome.
cool.
That's awesome.
But that's even. I mean, it's so cool that you and Eric have been buddies for so long, and you're business partners for so long, and like it takes a lot to deal with the same person.
Yeah,
That you guys are
yeah.
basically married at this point.
Yeah, we're very lucky, and the partnerships. They say partnerships are tough, and but it's been a long road, and we've made it this far, and hopefully many years ahead.
That's very
Yeah,
cool.
That's awesome. That's kind of very similar. It's like if I ended up doing real estate, me and Mike did it together. One of my best friends from elementary school is a realtor up in the Poconos, and I happened just to get into mortgages, and we both started it. Like he started right out of high school. He didn't even go to college, and I started mortgages right outside of college, and we like work together now and stuff. So
That's awesome because it gives you it's so much hard. It's a little bit harder, in my opinion, in the beginning because you're just younger than the home buyers in
Yep.
general, but you get such a runway to build your brand and get everything. So now when everybody becomes those first-time home buyers and the move-up buyer, your brand has been built for years. So
Yeah.
harder to start in the beginning, which we experienced, and being in the early 20s and being younger looking, there was a lot of, you needed people who would give you a chance.
for sure, yeah. Now, when you were 23, 24, starting out with Eric, did you start your own? You couldn't start your own brokerage right away, right? Did you guys sign up with a team together, or how'd that start?
We actually started up as assistants to a team.
Okay.
So never really. We originally got into real estate to invest in real estate,
Okay.
and that was the original path. I no plan on being a traditional realtor and everything. We got into to find investment properties, and we bought a couple investment properties, raised some money from friends and family, and then all of a sudden, a couple years in, some friends were like, "Hey, I'm starting to look for a place. Can you help me?" Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Eric and I and two other buddies, Anthony and Frank, who we live with, who were renting a place with, were like, "Hey guys, instead of renting in Manayunk, let's buy in Conshohocken." So in the early 2000s, the four of us bought a place in Conshohocken. And then all of a sudden, you got 3-4 transactions. It's like, all right, we were working at the boathouse in Conshohocken, waiting
That
tables,
seems so
and
fun.
bartending. Yeah. And after about 3 years of that, it was like, I'm doing real estate together. It was like, wait a second, if we go real estate full time, let's see where this goes.
That's awesome.
And that, I mean, it is tough when you're younger, but there's also some benefits too. It's like you don't have all the bills that someone who might start at 30 might have, like with kids and a mortgage. And it's like you can really live bare. At least I did really live bare bones when you're that young and like scrape together, deals every month or so.
Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely, you do get you have more flexibility. And when we were running up, boy, we I can't put all the age and years together so quickly, but then we hit the Great Recession, and I'm glad we hit the Great Recession before just being a little bit younger, to be honest with you, because there was a little more flexibility.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the market stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old were you when that happened?
In my 30s
So
somewhere.
in your 30s, yeah. So you had been doing real estate for quite a few years at that point.
Yeah, so I had about 7 or 8 years in.
Nice.
Yeah, so I guess I was early 30s, and then all of a sudden you're building. And what was wild is you're building, which is awesome. And then you start projecting, well, maybe we'll grow 23% next year, and not just 15% or 10%. And then just being the first time through it, and all of a sudden you're like, and you're down 30%. You're like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, did I do that wrong? Because for the last 7 years I've been building. And then you start to realize, well, no, there's macro impacts. And,
Sure.
it's like, but, we believe in complete ownership. We're responsible for our success or failure.
Yep.
But then you go through something like that, and in hindsight, you're like, oh, all right, even like the macro conditions really were
Yeah.
a true impact.
And I'm sure that probably lent itself to having some more knowledge to what happened over the past couple of years when there were some macro issues, to say the least, and better prepared maybe.
Better prepared, more aware of the cycles. The cycles are still incredibly hard, and I think we still have an affordability issue, and it's just wild. PAR just came out with their not PAR, NAR, the 2024 home buyer and seller profile. Like the average age of a first-time buyer now is 38.
38, I saw.
Wow.
That, yeah.
Wow, and the average age of a move-up buyer is 61.
I think the average age of a homeowner is like in the 60s, like 68 or something like that, or 65. It's wild.
Yeah. That past has helped. Now it still doesn't make it easy, but it just makes it,
More mentally like prepared, or like, oh, we will get through this, you know.
It's going to be another cycle coming too. We might hit a high again, but history has cycles on our side. It's just the length of them is the hard part to figure out.
We're kind of backtracking in a second, but I do want to know on your 53 days across the country, where'd you go? What'd you do? Like that, like we love stuff like that. He's a big traveler, and I did something similar to that for a month or so.
I don't know if this is going to get me in trouble with H. Foley, but my buddy Ant and I, we started out. We started out and we went and visited Eric in Maryland. We got together in the where do they do everything? Where the aquarium is?
Camden?
No.
The
Baltimore.
big-
The harbor.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking
about. Harbor.
The harbor down there. So we saw him for a night, and then we headed to North Carolina, where it wasn't H. Foley then; it was Henry, and I think it was Cape Fear, North Carolina. I'm not sure if I have that name right, but he was singing and trying to get into acting and all that stuff, and he wasn't famous then.
Yeah,
but it was awesome.
Probably wasn't a great singer either.
No, we hung out with him. We went, and then we hit Tennessee. Then we went up to Michigan, Indiana. Then we went down to Texas. What was the best, the most life can change on a dime. And we were in Texas visiting a high school friend who was in, I believe it was Dallas, he was managing a couple bars in downtown Dallas. We're in our early 20s, and he was living with family down there. And he let us stay, and we actually, to make a few bucks on the road, we did some bouncing. Not that anybody was scared of us. But he offered for us to stay and get jobs there. And I just think back in life, like, what if we had stayed? Yeah. And anyway, we continued across. We did a whole bunch more in Vegas, and then we ended up in Santa Barbara, California.
Did you end up driving back, or did you end up flying back?
No, we drove and stayed. We had a minivan and no destination and no time. About 6 months in, my buddy Ant decided to become a teacher. And now these days, he taught for many years, and he's an administrator now. And about a year in, I woke up one day and I said, man, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do, but I want to succeed and fail on my own. And I called up Eric, and he was finishing up that 5th year. He'll say it's a football season, it's questionable.
I followed that same path at Penn State. Don't worry, Eric. We're good.
And we just said, hey, let's just figure this out. And away we went. So that's the abridged version.
That's great. That's so cool.
You're hitting him right now.
Yeah, you hit me right in the heart.
Every day he brings up vans. He's like, "Can I buy this van? Can I go across the country?"
I was I'm gonna pay off all my debts, and I'm gonna buy a van, and then I'm just gonna go. Like,
The one really cool part about it being in my late 40s now is I look back in life, and like if I had not done that, I would always wonder kind of what's out there.
Yeah.
But after living out there a year and deciding that this was my home and this is where I wanted to be, it just gives me more fulfillment, if
like
will,
peace,
in my late 40s, not going, man, I wish I would have done that or could have done that. I did it.
Yeah, so. That's what, like I've been going out of the country a lot, like going to a lot of different places outside the country. And every time I do it, I'm like, I don't really want to, like, I don't want to spend this money. But then when I get there, I'm like, dude, screw the money. I don't care about that. Right now. Like this, I'm
especially
so glad
when you're young like that.
Yeah.
The go.
That's what I'm, Yeah. They do a good. Rory does a great job of talking me into it. So
it's not my money.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did spend that money when I was your age too, like doing all those trips and
for sure.
And it's the stuff that I talk about to this day. It's like how I learned a lot of stuff about life and just experiences and met a lot of cool people.
Oh yeah, no, it opens my eyes to so many different things, like Europe, Japan, hopefully like Vietnam. I'm super stoked for that. Like, and then traveling with all the people you travel with too, it makes you, I guess, like not even some of the people you never see again, but it just opens up like your I don't know, like mind to human interaction, like being just with like random people and how close you can get in like a week with somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
Compared to people you see every day and you don't really get that close. It's funny.
Yeah, it just gives you so much. I mean, just the weather here versus California, just having the 4 seasons and appreciating that versus.
Oh yeah, true.
Just hey, it's cold. It's in the high 30s today, and that's the lowest it's going to get.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I could do without seasons, no problem. When I lived in San Diego, I was like, people would be like, "Oh, don't you miss the leaves changing?" Like, nope.
No.
75 degrees in November.
I could totally agree with that too. I'm like, give me one day of skiing, and in California, you could just drive north for like 2 hours and go skiing, and then come back. So I was like, let me ski for like 2 days, and I'm done.
I'm good. And then this is like the worst time of my year. Is like, just looming winter right now. I'm not looking forward to it.
So when you got to Santa Barbara, you're like, I think I'm gonna head back home, and that's where.
I was out in Santa Barbara. So we got a place. My buddy Ant and I got a place on the beach. Did odd jobs, drove limos, town cars, worked at restaurants, things like that. My favorite job was driving either the limo or town car from Santa Barbara, and if I remember right, it was a couple hours down to L.A.
Yeah.
And you drive wealthy people, and they would have an event that day. So I'd get paid all day to drive it was 60 or 90 miles, I forget, down there, and just sit in the car all day while they're at their event, and then come home. It was like wild. But remember, back then we didn't have phones and all that stuff. So I just read books, and I was like, wild. Like, I get paid all day to
read a newspaper.
To drive in the morning, and drive at night. And then when you get to drive down, I think Pacific Coast Highway 1, it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
You're ocean, mountain, ocean. Like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me?
Traffic.
that's so
Oh, yeah. You hit the 405 in LA, and you're like, dude, this is 5 lanes. Like, this is crazy.
Nuts. That's so cool. And then how has it progressed? So then you come back here, you call Eric up, you and Eric started as real estate assistants. And then your friends start buying homes? When did you make the jump to say like, hey, we want to start our own thing now?
That we were probably 10 years in at that point.
Okay.
And then I never wanted to go on my own. I'm a nervous person, but what makes a partnership great is you have different personalities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm nervous, and I'll never forget saying to Eric, going, dude, how can we be responsible for other people? Like, this is crazy. And, and now we're 40 plus people, and I'm so grateful for it.
Oh my God. You guys have 40 plus agents on your team?
Yeah, it's at our office, and we're still trying to grow. But it's, you just need the personalities that mix. So he pushed me at a time I wasn't ready. I'm so grateful he pushed me, and we'll see where it goes.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, when I was first door knocking here, I actually showed up at your office door knocking, and they're like, do you know Rory Farrell? I'm like, oh. It's like, oh, we're already here. It's like, my bad. Sorry, guys.
There's no way you would know.
No, I didn't know, but it was so funny.
And honestly, with 40 plus agents, like there's always people to get connected to. It's like, I don't know 90% of them, especially now, like you've brought in some new people, and some old people have moved on, but I might know 5, 6, 7 of your agents and have done deals with them, but there's plenty of people.
And there's just different personalities.
Yeah.
Like some people in there would appreciate a Miller Lite.
Yeah.
And some people in there would appreciate the fancy beers.
The finer craft locals.
But it's just, you're not going to get 40 of the same people.
No.
And so when you're at these different, people connect for different reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what have you have you felt there's kind of like a method to the madness now? Like you figured out that, hey, this is how we're growing, or is it just kind of taking it day by day and deals?
There's no secret, right? It's slow and steady. It's not exciting. Success is execution of the fundamentals. But what happens when you do the fundamentals over and over is they get boring.
Yeah.
So we all try to look for the shiny button, right? And you just got to keep doing the stuff over and over and get enthusiastic about it and do it. One of our favorite things is Eric and I love teaching, coaching, and training. So we do that individually as well as group stuff, but we happen to love it.
Yeah.
And so it all kind of works together because some people who run very successful offices, they're not into teaching, coaching, and training. And we just happen to be into it. And so that it works. Like I get inspired when someone's brand new, they're starting out, and all of a sudden 3 years later, they're doing unbelievable.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And you guys, I've sat in on a couple of these too, but you do when with the team, some people are in the office, you guys do a lot of Zoom and like things like that. Like how is that, I guess like how has that changed throughout COVID? And do you ever get 40 people in the office all at once?
No, everybody's kind of doing their different things, but we've stayed with the hybrid model because you got to meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
And everybody's at a different part in life. We picked Conshohocken because it's a central location. We got agents in the city, out in Bartow, Doylestown, all over the 5-county area. And by being hybrid, they can jump on the meeting from their iPhone and grab that information, especially with all the changes, all these, the possibilities of the NAR changes and everything. We were talking about a year and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
And not knowing how it would play out, but just the conversation going. So you need to be on for all that stuff. And for some people, getting to the office is hard. So we still do it hybrid.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're one of the people who was often at the office. Do you feel you work better in the office, or do you also like working from home or working remotely?
Yeah, I think a change of environment's good. I am office most of the time, but we built a cafe-style office. The idea, it's kind of a mix of a Starbucks, your home office, and a traditional office, and all those blended together. But it's just more relaxing when you go in, as opposed to cubicles and partitions and you know, you can't get pet. So it's a nice, comfortable environment there. Some nice music on, and it's an open setting. So, you know, somebody walks in, you reconnect with them about the Phillies or the Eagles or the events they were doing the weekend, as opposed to being locked away in an office. So I like the mix.
Yeah, I mean, you saw our little space down there. It's the same thing. It's like having the open concept. Just we learn so much. You know, like we're overhearing each other's conversations, and he's talking to different clients than I'm talking to, than Tom's talking to. So it's like you're just learning so much. You have like 3 or 4 times the amount of information coming in at you because you're overhearing these things and collaborating. Yeah,
it's a great way to learn. I was just talking to someone this morning, and they had an opportunity. They were doing something in the music industry, and now they're getting into more of a corporate setting. And they just shared with me the point that, Matt, I had this opportunity to work remotely, but a family member said to me, for your first job, don't work remotely.
Yeah.
Like, you got to learn the corporate setting. You got to learn the X's and O's, maybe later. But I thought it was just an interesting point about when you're learning to be in the office.
I'd agree with that. I mean, just think about you when you first started.
Yeah.
It's like it was full COVID when you first started. But
Yeah.
we were a small enough office that we were kind of all in here.
And we're banging out like 40 loans a month, and I'm sitting next to Tom, and it's going crazy. And it's like, if I wasn't in the office doing the things and watching Tom do stuff or watching Rory do stuff, I wouldn't have half the knowledge that I have now about
totally
everything.
accelerated during that period.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
And that's so interesting. You started at a high.
Well,
kind of. Yeah, like I was on, like as it was going, the roller coaster started going down, I probably got on the roller coaster like right here, and then it just was like right down to the ground.
well, the problem with him was that, not the problem with you, but just the way that you started is like
the problem with this kid. Yeah.
we had the pipeline for all those refis.
Yes.
So he didn't. So he came in with the craziness,
All right.
But I had
and
no
he
fight.
helped us, but didn't have his own business yet.
Because
He just
that's
didn't
what
have the
everybody
pipeline.
always says. Everybody's like, oh, well, you got in at a great time. And I'm like, well, yeah, if I would have gotten in like 2 years earlier, it would have been awesome. Like, I would have had a great time in the refi boom. But, for instance, if I didn't go to college, I probably would have been making a ton of money during then. But, you know, I came in, and it was like exactly what he said, where I had no pipeline. So people aren't calling me to refi, they're calling the office. And Tom would like throw me loans. He'd be like, here, you just did 7 of my loans, like, here, take one and go do this one. I'm like, great, cool, whatever, I'll take whatever I can get. And then it was boom, refis are gone now. Nobody's really buying homes. Anybody buying a home is putting in an offer against 50 other people. So it's like, go find an agent during this time. And none of the agents want to work with me because they're like, if I get a house under contract, you better close it. And it's like, how they trust me. I don't have any like reviews on Zillow or anything. So
Like you said, trusting someone with a baby face.
yeah. Yeah. So it was like 2 years of brutality, just like trying to get somebody to work with me. And then this past year's been really good, because past year's been like reassuring that I'm doing the right things.
I was
and
talking about the ledge every week for about 2 years.
dude, it was yeah. I was like, hey man, should I be doing this? Like, is this what I want to do? So
Yeah, well, and with people who got in a little bit after you, when we teach coach and train agents, is like last year was a 30-year low in units nationally, about 3.9 million, 4 million. Wow. This year we're trending just over 4 million, still low. It's like, guys, hang on. If you're making it this way with the headwinds, imagine what it's like when you get some tailwinds. But it's hard. The perseverance, like, there's no secret for perseverance and grinding it out. And you got to take care of your family. You got to take care of your bills. You got to do all that stuff. So you got to be realistic about it. But man, if you can hang on now, there will be brighter days ahead.
for sure. And that's what they kept telling me. I'm like, I don't know.
When
I'm
are
like, you
these
guys are
brighter
lying.
days?
Yeah. But yeah, after like this year, I was like, okay, all right, fine. Like,
We knew if he hung on long enough, that lie would become a truth.
yeah, eventually, because they're like, next year's gonna be a great year. The next year come around, they're like, it was worse than last year. I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on here, guys?
I was like, Mike, let's start a podcast. Then just to keep you engaged.
Yeah,
you know?
dude, I was like,
I got to share one of my failures is last year about this time, Eric and I were just shooting a quick video and kind of predicting, all right, hey, we're coming up this year in 2023, it's a 30-year low in units. Like, next year is going to be better. Like, and we were at like, I think 4, like our predictions for this year were like 4.6, 4.8 again on a national scale. Yeah. And now we're not going to be anywhere there. So it's like, all right, well, 2025.
yes.
Like, that's the year. But what was so interesting about the market changing was like, these economists were saying, well, people are just kind of pent up demand, but like, why is 24 the year they all decide to move, or 20? Like, there's no
something's got to happen.
rhyme and reason that 24 is the year, 25 is the year, or 26 the year. Like, it will happen, but I don't know which year.
Yeah, it's just sticking on. Like you said, perseverance. Like, that's the number one thing. It's like, just hang on and get through it. It's like, that's what it took me a while to realize. Like, all right, months will come and they're going to be really busy, and months are going to come and they're not going to be busy. So it's like, just when they're not busy, enjoy it. And when they're busy, enjoy it, you know? So that's what I'm trying to keep that mental attitude.
Just got to be positive because eventually
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
be good. 2025 is going to be great.
Sure.
You guys didn't,
Yeah.
I got inside information. It's going to be the best year we've had.
Sure, dude. Yeah.
Stay positive.
Yeah. But speaking of that, you just talked on, you guys were shooting a video and stuff. You guys shoot videos and do clips on your own as well, right?
Yeah. We'll just do some quick clips and things like that. Not as fancy as the stuff in here.
Maybe one day.
But we just try for consistency, because I think that's a critical thing. Whether you get 3 views and it's mom and somebody else,
Yeah.
or all of a sudden you maybe get one with 71 views, or if you're H. Foley, you get hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
But
Look
yeah.
at H. Foley. He's a perfect example, right? 25 years you're saying
grinding.
of no views, and now it's hundreds of thousands of views.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And what's
So-
really cool is when I had an opportunity in New York to just hang out one-on-one with him, he's the same guy.
That's
sure,
great.
yeah.
It was awesome. But yeah, we don't know which one's going to hit, which one's going to do it, but we just try to be consistent and keep the information out there.
Yeah, for sure. There's I don't know if you're familiar with like streaming platforms at all, like Twitch or anything like that.
I know him, but I'm not
Yeah. So like,
engaged in them.
long story short, there's a kid on there that he's one of the top streamers now. Like probably makes $400,000 a month probably now. He was streaming to one viewer, which was himself, for a year and a half every day. He didn't miss a day. He didn't miss a day for like a year and a half, and he was streaming to like one viewer, and then it was like 2, 3, 4, and now it's like 70,000 people watch him a day.
That's
Yeah.
such a cool story. What, can I ask what he was streaming, or is that?
No. Like Rainbow Six Siege is the game that he plays, and but he was so good at the game. He had so many hours in this game. Like he hears things that the game developers don't even know you could hear. Like he was so good at the game. He just knew where people were and what could go. So it was like impressive. And then clips of him start going viral, and then people were like, I gotta watch this guy, and it just took off. But it took him two years, I think, or a year and a half of just one viewer.
All right, can we hide this from my 11-year-old?
Yeah.
He's going to start have justification for playing Minecraft.
Yeah.
Even more than he does.
There's plenty of Minecraft.
Well, he just needs to
streamers.
stream it. He's leaving money on the table.
Let me reset that real quick. Yeah,
but it is the consistency though, and it's like you just never know. Like, it's like having a drip email, right? Like, they may not open it, but they see it come through, and then when they eventually need a realtor or a loan officer, they're like, oh yeah, that guy emails me all the time. Like, I don't look at him, but I know his name, and then you search your emails, and next thing you know, that you're getting a call.
Oh, it's just consistency, and then just something happens. And gosh, we're coming up on the holidays here. I don't know when this will actually air, but so many people are together, right? And you are, if you are a realtor, you are. If Uncle Joe is a rocket engineer, nobody's talking to Uncle Joe.
Nope, yeah.
But because they can't understand him. But if you are in real estate and mortgages or whatever, you are guaranteed to have family members who are going to talk to you.
Yeah.
What's rates? Where's the market? How's my house? Like.
Yep. All the time, every conversation when I run into a neighbor, it's like, oh, how's business? Oh, what's going on? Like,
Yep, for sure. But do you want to touch on anything else, or?
No, I mean, I think we touched on
A
everything
lot.
that I had in my mind. Anything you want to talk about? What are your predictions for 2025? Be positive.
My predictions for 2025 are more units than this year. I'm not going to make
Not
the
gonna
same
put a
mistake
number on
and
it?
put a number on it. Or you could just be like all those forecasters who then just change it. You know, like,
Yeah,
all right, well, we're gonna. It's at the end of quarter one. Let's lower that, or let's increase that, or all that stuff.
We had people coming in the office, like lenders and account executives. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna be in the 5s by January." This was like last year.
This is last year.
This is last year. They're like, "We're gonna be in the mid 5s by the first quarter," and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
I think we were in that 7, like
Yeah,
high, like
and I'm
not
like,
high
who are
7s.
you talking to that you're getting this information? So it's anything anybody says, I'm just like, grain of salt.
We will see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see.
you just keep going.
That's it.
So actually, I do have one more. You have 40 people, 40 agents now. Do you have a goal in mind or is it just kind of like bring on organically the people that fit your team, or is it like, hey, I want to grow by 50% in the next 5 years?
No, it's just a grow. We have some. We just try to grow slow and steady, and just add more add more people as they come, as we build our systems, as we expand. So see where it goes. I mean, we started with 11, 12 years ago, and it's a slow, steady grind. It's but it's exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and like that anxiety that you had in the beginning, like how are we supposed to be responsible for these people? Has that changed, or is it now more like, oh, I have the opportunity, I'm excited to do that?
I love teaching, coaching, and training. So anytime I got an opportunity to get put in front of someone and put them in a position to be, they do all the work. But if Eric or I can tweak what they're doing or get them to think about something like this. And what's really cool, one of my favorite things in the office is we have agents who are crushing it in the commercial multi-million-dollar world, and we have agents who are crushing it in the rental world.
Yep.
And everything in between, certain geographic areas and everything in between. Because Eric is, I follow his lead on this, but it's not about you got to fit here and this is how you're successful. It's like, first, let's find out what you're passionate about. Rentals is the easiest one to give an example because someone's like, don't spend time on rentals, don't waste your time. But I have seen it 100% where they have huge businesses and they started out by helping renters because they don't realize that, you help renters and you earn money. Then you meet the investors who own these buildings,
Right.
and there's a whole level beyond that. And so it's so cool to see people successful in their different ways.
Yeah, for sure. There's always a niche. Everybody has a niche that they can get into. So,
And ironically, the people who really hustle and work hard and stay focused and be consistent, no matter what their niche is, those are the people that are successful.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like you said, you can't trick the system. You just got to keep hustling.
No, and you can tell when someone's passionate about something, right?
Yeah.
Like when you meet them, like, like you just get that feel. So if you're not passionate about investment properties that are all beat up and they're walking through there and they're not like, they don't feel comfortable, like that's not the right spot for them.
Yeah, for sure.
know?
But yeah, that's it. I don't know.
Got to win?
Got to win.
A win? Well, the Eagles won last night. So,
There you go.
That's a pretty good win.
All right, we'll take that and we'll run with it.
All right, cool with me.
Love it. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Yeah.
Let's do another
Yeah.
cheers. Happy Friday. This is one of the rare times
Cheers.
we're actually filming on a Friday, so we're not lying.
Yeah.
On the facade that you can spray on. Killing birds with one stone is what we stay on. Wingspan never too